Good evening, Monarchs. It's so good to be with you in week two. Here we are. So, this week we're going to talk about core values. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that before we dive deeply into it. So, I've made this little presentation with some things for you to think about, some things for you to try. The things I have for you to try are not assignments. I just want you to explore um, some interesting topics about values and really give some consideration to those things. Our values overlap, our personal values and all of the personal values of those around us for our community are then reflected in the institutions in which we live. And then certainly librarianship as a whole has a set of professional values that we are expected to live up to. So I wanted you to think a little bit about your personal values. Core values are the fundamental beliefs that drive behaviors and decision making on a personal, organizational, community, country, and ultimately a global level. I know that many of us went into librarianship thoughtfully. We didn't just jump into graduate school and say, hey, let's just try this. There's something in us that makes librarianship an exciting career or a fulfilling career. It's certainly not the most lucrative career. And I think by our choices to enter librarianship as an educated professional says something about us. For me, my core values are service, social justice, inclusivity, democracy, all of these kinds of things that value the humanity in every individual. Those are the things that are important to me. And so hopefully I live out those personal values in my profession, in my community, in my institution on a global level. And so sometimes it's hard for us to think about what core values are. So in the link on this slide, which will be available on the module, you can download this really long list of core values to see what ones resonate with you. And I want you to think about choosing 5 or 6 and just carrying those values with you as you move through life and see if you're living out those values, because they will certainly play into your community values. Your community is made up of a bunch of different kinds of individuals, and it's really important for our institutions for you to know what kind of people live in your community. It's going to demonstrate to you what those community values might look like. So page 80 in your textbook has some really good examples of how to pursue this data and what questions to ask of it. On this slide, you can see there's a link to the 2020 census data. And questions you might ask of that data are about the demographics of your community. How old are they? How many people are in your community? Is it rural? Is it suburban? Is it urban? How many people are living in poverty? How many languages are spoken? What's the average education level? What's the average income? Because these might affect the cultural norms, cultural values, and community expectations, as well as access issues for your library. So understanding and purposefully and intentionally thinking about your community values is going to have a larger impact on your community. And some values may be in conflict, that we're seeing that in our country right now. Some community values are split, and this part of the community thinks this, and this part of the community thinks that. And it's important for us to know that so that we can be prepared to help every person's personal values to grow, and that we embrace them as a human being, even if their values are different than ours. So within those community values, your organization, your institution, your library needs to be able to articulate their own values, the values that they're promoting to their constituencies, to their customers, their community, whatever the goal of that organization is, whatever type of institution that is, needs to also have thought about their library values. And so try looking up your local public library on their website. In the little website search bar, not the catalog search bar, but the website search bar, just type in library values and see what comes up. In Virginia, many of our public libraries put those values right out there for everyone to see. And this is a great example from Suffolk Public Library. Um, they value being community focused, being nimble, being inclusive, being constructive, and being adventurous. And these values being stated out for the public also holds them accountable. Are we living up to these things? Are we responding, for example, to the changing reality of our community? COVID was a great example to practice that in. Um, are we being constructive and not restrictive? Are we being risk takers? So the library values, as stated to the public, hold them accountable. It's also a good litmus test for themselves. Are the things we are doing living up to our values? Certainly within the organizational values, we want to reflect our professional values. The American Library Association, and by extension, the Public Library Association as a subsidiary of ALA, values these things: access, privacy and confidentiality, democracy, diversity, education or lifelong learning, intellectual freedom, the public good, preservation, professionalism, service, social responsibility, and sustainability. And here is where I ask you, do your personal values match with our professional values? Do you see a repetition among those things that you listed when you did the first try this? Do they match some of these? If they don't, maybe there's some deeper thinking you need to do about, is this the profession for you? If they are, fantastic, you're in the right place. That's very exciting to know that the profession you're entering shares the same values as you. And if they didn't, is that a reflection on the profession? Is it a reflection on your career goals? Of course, that's a difficult question to ask, because who isn't for diversity? Who isn't for intellectual freedom? Who isn't for the public good? So, all of these things are things that we have to sort of grapple with internally about our profession. Um, and you'll notice that on here, there's nowhere about, making money. There's nowhere on here about personal boundaries. But yeah, there are, because if you think about sustainability, are the libraries, and by extension, we as library employees, are we making enough money and having enough time off and having enough like medical access for that work to be sustainable? So there is a similar value there. So I guess I just really want you to start grappling with this idea of values and thinking about your own values and our professional values and where they overlap, perhaps where they're in conflict, and what that means to you. You can see how the ALA, particularly in this particular conversation, PLA lives out their values. And I challenge you to look at the values on the previous page. And then this little link here on the corner, or excuse me, this image on the corner, are the initiatives and projects taken directly from the Public Library Association initiatives. And within each of those, there are sub projects. So once you've matched some values that you're interested in, open the link title in the Google Slides I'll be sharing with you, and explore each of the projects within those categories and see if you see something there that really resonates with you, really surprises you, or makes you go, I find often in librarianship that things that make you go, are also often the most interesting things to reflect on and think about. So that's just a brief on our professional values. And whoops, excuse me, I went the wrong way. There we go. So this gets me to the point of the whole point of this seminar is critical librarianship and asking ourselves, are we walking the walk? Are our public library, are our values publicly stated? Do our actions match stated values? Do decisions that we make match our values? Does our budget match our values? For example, if all of our budget is spent in one portion of our programming, is that making a statement? Again, with budget, the most expensive part of a library budget is staff. Well, in my view, that's a good thing because otherwise the library is a stagnant place. But is that budget line item providing you with adequate salary to support yourself and your family? Is it providing you with benefits so that you can be whole? Is it providing you with paid leave so that you can take care of your own well being? So these are all things that we have to grapple with as we think about values in librarianship. So, this next week, we're going to be really kind of diving into values, and we'll be revisiting some of these ideas about accountability, sustainability as we move through the course. So, I thank you for taking this brief moment with me and trying some of the activities that I suggest here. And I look forward to spending more time with you on the topic of values this week. Thanks a lot and have a great night.